I can't believe it, but the duplication glitch is back and kinda better than ever. But with that being said though, it doesn't replace just about everything. And now there's two of them to boot. One of them I think could get patched relatively simply, but the other one I feel like is a lot harder, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But tune in for the second way to duplicate items within Dying Light 2. I'll cover in a couple minutes here. Now before we get into the duplication glitch, I did want to say I actually tried to hold off on making this video because I didn't know what the developers were going to do. I didn't know how they were going to respond to this. I didn't want to tell you guys about a strategy that gets patched two days later, and it kind of was just a bait for views. I don't want to do that. So I kind of tried to wait to see what the designers do. We're 2 patches in, and they still have yet to do it. They're still concerned, I think, with just making the game run better, which I think is very good on their part. And with how many ways there are to get resources and to farm legendaries, I feel like they're more than willing, and also with the variation of the perfect legendary being the thing that is acting as the carrot on a string, because all of your legendary armor, all of your legendary weapons have gear stats that when you get to endgame are very they matter. So maybe you have a friend that has a perfect stat roll, then sure, that could be a little repeat power if you dupe that, but ultimately it's going to take some time to get that, unless we all come together like a hive mind. Anyways, let's get on to the duplication glitch. But first things first, just not to take too much of your time, the duplication glitch is as simple as utilizing the co-op features to your advantage. Specifically the fact that when you pick up an item at the exact same time as your friend, the game can't tell who is picking it up and makes 2 of an item. Now this is good with weapons, but not too good because you'll get better weapons for your world tier later in the game, and the weapons that you get right now are kind of going to get obsolete even if they're legendaries, especially if you get them at a low world tier. But the thing that is very good is when you're duplicating resources that you are going to need a lot of, such as farming the special zombies. There's no way in the game to specifically target specific creatures in a very fast and efficient way, not like a battle royale kind of arena, which would be really cool if they added just to kind of make this process streamlined. That way you don't have to just kind of bob around the map, place to place, and hoping to find the zombie that you need. Anyways, point being is that you can actually dupe your resources. So for instance, zombie medals, you can duplicate them, and how this works is a little weird. So when you're duplicating an item, it's about dropping the item on the ground, then you and your friend time, hopefully count down, and you pick it up at the same exact time. But the second thing that you need to do if you were successful in duplicating a 10 stack of resources, say, one of your friends needs to drop their stack and combine it with your current stack. That way you have a bigger stack now to duplicate. And you rinse and repeat. Whoever is duplicating it, get them to throw their stack on the ground, you collect it so that you can duplicate a bigger pool. Therefore, you guys can make the process go faster and have a big stack way quicker. You start with 10 times 2, turns into 20, then you do 20 times 2 turns into 40, and etc. That's not exactly great math, but you get the point. It exponentially gets better, and you exponentially increase your progress. Now, one thing to consider is that you're only able to hold 999 items, so store a stack of the max stack you possibly can, and then go back to your friends who hopefully has a still stack because you just duplicated it, you ran, dropped yours off, then you duplicated your friends, and now you both have to again get your friend to go drop off and then duplicate it one more time, so that way you guys have both 2 stacks and you have a stack in the bank in your stash. Now you can do this with any and every resource, but again, specifically when it comes to weapons, there's limited value to be gained here, especially if you haven't progressed enough to get to world level 9, which is kind of the end game period of things. The good news is your friends can come into your world and drop high level world 9 gear, and you can duplicate that, and in that case you're pretty good, you're cooking. And of course I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the kind of warnings to this. I would suggest not to go absolutely buck wild, to try to pace yourselves just so you're able to actually enjoy the mechanics of the game. And the devs actually did an incredible job, but legendary loot respawning, or artifact weapons respawning constantly in like a 15 to 24 hour cycle, so you're always going to have good enough weapons to kind of cut through the world. I will say the duplication glitch on the zombie-like enemies, for the materials at least, that's a godsend. That's going to take a lot of time of painful grinding if you don't want to do this glitch slash exploit, I guess. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the one I've been hearing around, and that's the one I personally did a lot of, and that's the only one I really needed. Now, by the way, you can duplicate just about everything. You can duplicate medical kits, you can duplicate your resources, you can duplicate weapons, armor, anything that you can drop on the ground and pick up at the same time, you'll be good to go. Now, that is method 1 of doing the duplication glitch, which I think they could patch if they wanted to, which I don't know if they do. If they wanted to, I think it'd be pretty easy to patch. You just have some sort of lag or latency on picking up an item to make it really, really hard to perfectly time the pickup. Not impossible, but just too much of a headache to actually do. Anywho, but there is the one other method, method number 2 of the duplication glitch, which I think is far more hard to patch. And if you guys have ever played Borderlands 2, you know what that glitch is. Essentially, with the idea that you are joining your friend's world, and with there being systems to not punish people for maybe getting disconnected when they accidentally dropped a weapon for their friend, or were trying to pick up a weapon in their instance, and all of these weird things, essentially, in Borderlands 2, and just like in Dying Light 2, there is a glitch where if your friend joins your world and you're away from a place in which you can save constantly, and your friend drops all of his gear, so a bunch of high-level materials, a bunch of weapons, gold-tier weapons, etc., and then the friend that joined your world that dropped all of his gear closes his game, whether that's just like closing the game on PC, not like logging out, because that would save the game, but just shutting it down from Windows. And same thing with PS4, you just Alt-Tab out, close the game, the application, and then reboot it. The game will essentially have thought you disconnected and will not save any data that currently has been unsaved. But your gear is still thrown on the world and instanced. So your friend can pick them up, you log into the world, the game didn't save so that with you dropping your gear, and now you've functionally duplicated all your gear. Now, I actually really hope they don't patch this one, because to me, it just seems like a fun thing to do as a community, to have like Santa Claus-like streams where we would just go to each other's world, especially if crossplay ever got introduced, to go to people who are just getting into the game and drop them a cool weapon just to give them a much better time with the game, or maybe a couple resources that are a nightmare to farm. I think that's just too fun, and I would love to do that in the future, so stay tuned if this glitch doesn't get patched too soon. But that is another method that I've been seeing in comments and everything all around. But essentially, you just join your friend's world. Whoever's hosting cannot be the one that backs out, because that will just kick everyone out of the world. One of your friends needs to join your world, who has the gear that they want to drop the gear, and then kill the application before it can save, essentially, and then the person hosting can just pick up all the items that are still there. Could they patch this? Maybe. I just find it's pretty hard. I noticed in Borderlands 2 that glitch still exists to this day, and it's really hard to I don't know how you would patch it without screwing over actual happen chance encounters, such as you maybe accidentally dropping a weapon and then just thinking, oh shit, and then maybe your connection falls through, and now you're just out of weapon. It would make the experience overall worse. So I don't know if they'll patch that. And honestly, I think the developers seemingly are just letting people have their fun, which I think is really cool. And again, it's not like there won't be any more content to be added to the game to make things even more interesting, or new weapons or anything like that, right? But if you're going to do this, I would just suggest to give some thought into how this is going to affect your game. If you are a person that does get bored easily when you don't have something to chase, then this will just kind of end the chase a little too soon. But if you're a person that does not like grinding for the sake of grinding, then go forth and conquer, I guess, and get as much as you can and enjoy the parts of the game in which you want to enjoy. But ladies and gentlemen, that has been the 2 duplication glitch that I've heard about and seen in action and gotten. I went to comments, to Discord thread, and also it just makes sense why that works. Also, before we end it, big shout out to Anthony and Fluff, as well as all of my lovely community who sat through me streaming, duplicating this on stream with no communication besides 4-second delay of Twitch on the grabbing of an item and what a mess. But I appreciate you and love you for putting up with me. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about the duplication glitch. Let me know what you think if they're gonna patch it. I'm on the thing where I don't think they will. I think this game has such a fun general base of mechanics, and the way they're handling endgame and loot seems like they're more akin to you getting what you want and having a good time, rather than you having to do something in such a strict way. But I could be wrong, but I hope I'm not. Anyways, hopefully you guys do enjoy this day. We're going to be covering Let It Die to the absolute utmost on this channel, showcasing information, guides, legendaries, cool weapons for you to use, fun quests that are too fun to pass up, and everything like that. Hopefully I can see you in the future in those videos. Thank you again, and goodbye.